Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's start the meeting. We have Sagnik Das, Sunit, and Mayuk. So let's start. I already gave them their introduction to all of you. They are from big companies, and they are highly successful in their professional life and in their academic life also. So let's without any more introduction, let's start the meeting. uh, First of all, I will very much welcome to Sagnikda and Sunit and Mayuk. Can you guys please switch on your video? Am I audible to everyone? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for attending this session. So let's start with the. And first of all, my question to Sagnik, I will ask you one more question. That is, let's say, is that IIT and ISI, as my subject of the question meeting, whether IIT or ISI. So is this everything IIT or ISI? If I didn't get IIT or ISI, then should I drop that year and should I prepare for next year, or should I go for another universities? What do you think?
So absolutely not. If that was the situation, then probably at this time point, I would not be in this call.
Right.
Yeah. So I believe there are a lot of opportunities current days. So we can miss IIT and ISI both, but it's always good to be part of these organizations. Yes, but if you miss IIT or ISI, but there is no worry. You can have like CU, ACU, DU, BHU. There are so many colleges out there, and all are now very reputed ones. So I believe, so if you miss IIT or ISI, there is no worry. Go for another one.
Absolutely. And no need to drop a year, and we should do anything better than IIT and ISI from other college also. So that is the main point of your speech. Thank you.
Yes.
So I will go to Sunit. Like, if not IIT and ISI, then any other good colleges, and how can I choose the colleges? And what is the exam, how to prepare all these things, like in IIT for JAM exam that will happen around February 2nd Sunday. So after that we will get a lot of time, so how to prepare that thing, so give
Yeah,
a brief
so
on that.
hi everyone. Hi everyone. So as you said, the JAM exam actually happens quite early. It happens around February, and you definitely have a lot of time to prepare after that. And honestly, after the JAM exam, you kind of have an idea that whether you will qualify or not. Like, and
Yes.
if you're still in doubt, it's better that you keep up the process of the preparing. Now the point is, when you asked about what are the other options, so there are actually a lot of options. You can think about HC, you can think about DU, you can think about some good private universities as well. There in Mumbai, there's Nasim Monchi as well. It actually depends on what you want to. And before choosing, I would rather suggest, if you're not absolutely sure about your qualification, IIT or ISI, you should appear for all of them. Don't choose a single one and try to go ahead with them. These are competitive exams. These are mainly decided on a day's performance. So it might just happen that even you're highly prepared for an exam, your day might just go bad and you miss that one. So it's better that you choose all of them, like give the exam for all of them, and kind of have a priority in your head that what if, suppose you get through DU, you get through PHU, you get through HCU, you get through any other university, CU as well. CU is extremely good, by the way. And now you get an option to choose. Then you have a priority in your head, but do go for all of them. That's very important. And mostly, if you ask me, like, what are good colleges? So in my head, there are actually, it depends from different, it depends on different perspectives. So if you want to do research, then I would say go for CU. Like, that would be the best thing if you want to do higher, if you want to be in academics, please go for CU. It's extremely good. Or any other university of such where there are good professors who can guide you through the PhD if you want to do it there, or even if you want to do it abroad. So there must be professors who are well, like, proclaimed and acclaimed in their own lines, and do a research bit on what professors are there. Like, they would be the main persons to guide you if you want to do research. If you want to go for a job, still CU is a good option, HCU is a good option, DU is a good option. I'm not very sure about other universities. BHU is a very good option. and try to do some research on what kind of campus placements they have, how many percent of students get placed, and also like what is the average package, and what kind of companies, what kind of roles they give. So I think right now they have all these informations on websites and LinkedIn. So make a note of that and choose wisely. I would not say go for a particular and don't think about others. It would be a very wrong approach. The best is to consider all of them, appear for all the exams. Never drop. You don't just miss an exam because you don't want to be there. Like you might think that I'll get through CU. Why do I need to apply for presidency? Right? You might not just get through CU. It might happen. So always keep a backup option, even if you have a first choice. Appear for all of them. Even presidency has a good placement. So yeah, I would say top universities in my head. It depends. If you want to go for placements, DU is good. BHU has a good placement. HCU has a good placement. Presidency, CU as well. But if you want to go for academics, then I would say go for CU. That's better. I'm not sure about HCU or BHU in this case, but I would say CU is better than DU definitely in terms of research. Yeah.
On this same point, I want to hear from Mayuk also. So what is your view?
Yeah, so what Shunit has said, I completely agree with it. Like, don't stick onto any particular college. You can always try for different colleges. Rather, I would suggest to give all the possible exams that are available. So try DU, try HCU, BHU. Then once you once you get through one or two, then you decide. So it's absolutely depends on what you want to do on your life. Like if you are very much passionate about getting a private job, then definitely DU is a better option. But if you are like a research oriented person, you want to do some research in future, then you can choose CU also. CU has a like very it has a reputation on research field also. You can do PhD there. You can get good recommendation in doing PhD in abroad also. HCU is good, BHU is good, and there are various private universities also that offer good placement opportunities. So you can you can consider all these options and finally decide what you want to do, and based on that you can choose your college.
Right.
Yeah, I had another point.
Yes.
Shubhajit, I had another point to add here. So what happens is that since JAM happens, like JAM takes place very early, right, in February, and you're still in your 6th semester, your final semester. So what happens sometimes if you don't go through JAM, you might just fall into that the spiral of disappointment that you might not get through anything. So that's very important in that time to appear for all the exams. That the reason main behind, even if it's not a very big university in terms of research or placement, but still, even if you crack that, you'll get some confidence for the next exams.
Right.
Don't stick your option to a single one and wait for that. You never know what happens, right? So appear for all of them. You need to be confident, because if you crack, even if it's not a very big university, if you crack that exam, you feel confident about yourself, and I'm pretty sure that will help you in the next entrances.
Right. Thank you. That's a very important point. Any extra point by Sagnigda?
No, absolutely agree with the points made by Sunit and Mayuk. So exactly, go for all the options available, and don't stick to any particular college or particular institution. All are very good one. And right now, like outside of, like, if you can't crack any job in campus, then there are a lot of options in off campus also via different social media and all those things. So job will be available after you, like, once you are in that situation. So go for each and every options. I will not encourage anyone to go for a particular option, or go for IIT, go for only ISI, or go for only CU. Rather try everything. Yeah.
My next question is like, suppose right now we listen in mainly there are two options, like we can go for MSc, like in CU, in DU, and in IITs also we have MSc in statistics, and side by side there are many other courses like in MSc in population studies from IIPS, and in BHU there are also some courses like MSc in computer science, statistics and computing, health statistics, or in Belur there is also a big data analytics. So should I go for that particular MSc course, or should I go for like this particular course like biostatistics, in MSc in biostatistics, in health statistics? So what is your view? Like I will start from Sagnik Da.
Okay, so if you ask me, like all the course will have a backbone of statistics, I believe. So I'm not sure like how the biostat course is structured or all those things, but uh, so here the point comes, like if you want to be in the academics in the next level, then you should know like the core statistics if you want to be with it. But if you want to go to corporate, the some, as you know, like some topics are there that should be known by everyone, like regression, testing of hypothesis and all those things. So if the course structure of any of the institution should like actually if it includes all of them, then ideally then the like the syllabus is okay for everyone. But I'm not sure like the particular course structure, how they structure the syllabus and all those things. So I think they should, like while like getting the admission in those institutions, people should check like what are their, what will
Right.
they actually learn in the course, like in the entire 2 year or 3 year of course. They should see it.
Any addition from Mayuk and Sunit? Hello.
So, exactly what Sarnika said that, when you talk about what course you should go, it depends on exactly what you want to do. Like, if you're interested in biostatistics, right? So it's a very, like, statistics has so many different streams. It has operational research, which is entirely completely different degree, and quite, it's based on statistics. All these subjects which are offshoots of statistics are based on statistics. So the core statistics would always be there. But if you want to go for population sciences, then demography is your main line, right? And if you like demography, then go for demography. Don't, like, you wouldn't want to be, like, you if you want to be a data scientist, in not data scientist, but in a financial risk management and everything, and you are choosing a life and you're choosing a career in population sciences.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's not that if you're in population sciences, you cannot come back there, but it's not advisable that you do that. So if you want to learn, if you're interested in demography, then go for demography, go for population science institutes, right? IIPS. And if you want to go for, if you are in biostatistics, then go for biostatistics. It's not that you don't have jobs in biostatistics. The point is, wherever you go, you have to remember that you have to be good in that. Like,
Right.
you might be in ISI, and if you're bad, you won't stay there long, right? So wherever you go, you have to be good. That's the main point. And if you're interested in biostatistics, it's a fantastic job, and there actually are a lot of jobs for biostatistics. Like, people might say we don't know any biostatistician. It's just that there are so few that you don't know about them, but there are enough jobs and enough opportunities in biostatistics. Like, all the medicine companies based in India, and also the uh, like multinational pharmaceutical companies, they do look for good biostatisticians. They don't find one because we don't have a lot of biostatistics course in India. Most of the times they hire statistics people, or maybe most of the times they hire engineers to do the job for them. But there's a real lack of, like, biostatistics people. So if you're interested in that, if you're actually interested in biostats, then do go for that. But it's not that just because you want to do something, you're going for biostats, and 1 year down the line, you feel like, why am I here? I'm not even interested in something. So do a good research before you choose, right? If you have interest in, I mean, even if I say if you have a minimal interest in biostatistics, then do apply for exams. Do go for those exams. If you clear, you at least have an option. So
Right.
this is not something where, this is not very, and first of all, what Shagnik also mentioned, very important, that, if you have learned statistics, right now, whatever the scenario is, there are jobs for you. It's impossible to believe that there are no jobs. There are jobs for you. You just have to be good at what you do. It doesn't matter where you study from. You might study from a very unknown university, unknown college, nobody knows of, but there are jobs for you. You just have to learn the right things. That's the most important. I have seen so many people who have studied, commerce, BCom, and then they have done 2 year diploma course, or maybe learned from themselves, and they are quite good as any statistician out there, like average statistician out there. So yeah, maintain that if you're interested in something, go for that. Again, if you just target a job, you just want a job, you don't care what job that is, then it's just your choice. You just take a call on which university has a good placement. But if you want to learn something during your masters, then choose wisely. If you're interested in the subject, look at the syllabus of individual institutions and try to take some reviews from people who have studied there, and then take a call. Yeah.
Right. Mayuk, anything from your side?
Yeah, so like nothing much to add. Like you choose these courses only if you are very much interested in this, because otherwise, if you are not very much interested in this type of courses, then maybe after 1 year you lose interest. And that is not a good thing. So yeah, go for these courses only if you are very much sure that you want to stay in this line, like you want to be a biostatistician. Only if then you go for these courses. Otherwise, if you choose any course that's teaches general statistics, it is absolutely fine. Like if you study simple MSc in statistics, then you can go to any of these lines. You can be a biostatistician. You can do some work that relates to operation research or inventory analysis. So it's doesn't matter that much, but yeah, choose only if you're interested in this type of courses.
Right. Right. Okay, that's fine. So basically, if I summarize the whole thing, because primary, firstly, I have to give all types of exam to create some option for me, and then also I have to choose. The first thing I have to see the syllabus. I have to do a research on that syllabus and the placement, all these things, and I have to see is the syllabus covering my basic statistics thing, and then is that particular extra thing, that is biostat or population stat, that is based on my interest. I have to choose which portfolio, which stream I have to go. Okay, thank you. So from you three are from three different institute, like Sunit is from DU and Sagnik is from SU and Moyuk is from CU. So I will ask from already, Sunit already mentioned all the things. Still, I will ask one more time. That is from of the syllabus of you, like from syllabus of SU, the 2 year syllabus. What is your view, like in perspective of job and in perspective of placement, private job, government job, and for PhD? How much cover? What is the your syllabus? Hello, Sangnikda?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so HCU syllabus is like in the very first semester, there are a lot of pressure on mathematics related topics. So people do suffer in those courses actually. But in the other semesters, there are courses which are on code statistics, like as you mentioned, like regression, measure theory, blah blah blah. All those, there are possible things in statistics courses. So all are there. So now, if you ask me like how much they are important to get a job or to get a good like academic career, so I will tell you like so the core statistics is very important to be there in both in career, like in your academic career or in your corporate life. But as you know, like the city Hyderabad has its own value. So once you, like, if you don't get a chance in your on campus drive, then there are a lot of options for you in like off campus also. So that is a very good thing that I believe in HU it has. So that is one point I think. And the professors, if you see, if you know, they are quite educated and they know, but some of, like, as you know, like all the professors are not good there, but some of them are very very good, very educated, and they are very helpful while campusing and while clearing doubts of all the students and all those things. So overall, yeah, so the syllabus is like, it's good for getting a good job in corporate life, and both for PhD also. I'm not sure about PhD, but yeah, but it's good for getting a job in corporate life. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I will come to Sunit that in our 2 year MSc course, basically there are should that MSc program in teaches by institute, that is enough, or should I do some parallel courses or something
It
training?
depends. Yeah, yeah. It actually depends on what are the courses option like applicable for you. Like if you are doing MSc and you're still learning only C, C++, and Excel, then it doesn't help. But if they are teaching you R or Python or SAS, or even for that case, even SPSS. SPSS is also very bad, like upgraded. That's a which means sorry. So the point is that so what I was yeah. So it depends on what it includes. Like for corporate jobs, it's very important to have a programming language idea. Like if you apply to any job which is related to statistics across the world, I could say, if you don't know Excel, like that's the minimum basic, you have to know Excel well. Either Excel or R or Python or SAS or SPSS, something. You need computing knowledge. You cannot just learn core statistics in theory and go ahead. It might happen that you're not good at C. I was very bad at C, right? Like these were my classmates who was at Moyuk. They know that I was very bad at C++, but I learned R very well in university. So that's the point. So we had R. So that played the biggest role in landing a job. So again, as I said, that if you do not have any of them, or maybe your professor is not teaching that well, you do not have enough infrastructure in your college to learn that, then obviously, yes, do a course from outside. That's very important. But if you have enough knowledge, see, the point is when a company comes to hire you as a fresher, they don't expect you to be like a very high-end programmer making codes and like creating models. They just want to know whether you are the guy, you're the person whom they can teach as well. Like whether you have an idea, whether you have a concept of what happens. Yes, it's possible that if your competitors there during the placement, they are way ahead than you in any programming language or anything, then they might have a better chance at cracking that job. You might not have. That's a possibility. But remember, the companies, they don't come and look for high-end programmers, right? They would have gone to MIT in that case. They want good statisticians with a good idea of computing. Like they need like if you do not have that particular courses in your suppose I'm just taking some XYZ university has a good theoretical course, and obviously in masters, most of us, we all know we try to like work on our bachelors and then improve ourselves. It's not that we study, we learn a lot in masters, because masters has a huge syllabus, but in a very short amount of time. So you cannot be a master of a particular subject. Statistics is huge. You will have demographics in one semester. You will have a multivariate analysis. You'll have multiple sections. So, and those huge sections will be completed only within one semester. So it's obvious you won't be a master of any of them. You might be a jack of all trades. So in that case, you have to make sure that you have some computing knowledge. Right now, for the corporate jobs, it's very important. Learn any one of them. It's not that now you might ask me whether I should learn SAS or R or SPSS or Python. Learn any of them, I would say. SPSS is not used a lot in companies, but it's still important. Don't just leave it because it's not used. If it's in your syllabus, do learn it well. And definitely R or Python is the trendy, right? It's trendy right now, so it will help getting a job. If they teach you in university, I think that would be enough. Just try to do some projects of your own before the campusing part, so that you brush up yourself. Other than that, I don't think you need to learn, because all the universities have quite similar syllabus. It's not that someone teaches something extraordinary than the other. Is that some focus on a particular section and the others don't? It's just that difference. But again, as I said, main part, you have to learn some computing. Without computing, you can be in academics. It's possible. If not even in academics, honestly, you cannot even be in academics without computing. But in corporate, you definitely cannot. You have to learn computing.
Right. Basically, I have to choose one language, like not necessary to learn Python and R parallelly. I have to choose one language and I have to be proficient on that particular language.
Yes. By proficient, I don't mean that you have to be an expert at that.
Right.
You can just go to the intermediate. Don't be a beginner. Don't just think that I'll be a beginner and I can go for a job interview and they'll select me. Because remember, you'll have 20 other candidates in your with you who are applying. One of them might just be better than you. So if you want to crack a job, then don't just be a beginner, be an intermediate. See, the point is, if you know R, then the interviewer would already know that you can learn Python and you can learn SAS and you can learn any other language.
Right.
It's just one language, the logic and the algorithms, which are more important.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I want to ask Sagnik, that is internship. How important is this in this to get a job, and is this really important? Should I search for internship? And if it is important, then how to go for internship? How to search it?
So if you ask me honestly, I don't think internship is too much beneficial. But as Shunit rightly mentioned, like it is better to like spend that time for learning any particular like language, like as he mentioned, like maybe R or Python. No, go for it and know it. It will help you to understand uh, you and to help you to get a good job. But if you ask me for internship, I don't think like internship would be a very good option for getting a job. But yeah, some guys go for it and they do it, and they do get the job. So if you get a PPO offer, then absolutely go for it. And so to my view, actually, so I believe like if you have some time to do internship, so rather than doing an internship, go for any particular language learning, let's say R or Python or SAS, whatever, as per your wish. That's my view. Yeah.
Any addition from Mayuk?
Yeah, so actually, I never did any internship, and during any placement interview, they never asked me why I didn't do any internship. So it's your choice only. If you are really keen on doing any internship, you can do it. Otherwise, you can utilize the time in learning new languages, as Shunit and Shanika both mentioned. Like you can learn any one language. Maybe you can improve your knowledge of R or Python, whatever it is. You can utilize the time that way also. Yeah, if you are doing an internship, then you will get a little bit of industry experience. That's it. Nothing much as well. But yeah, if that company is offering you PPO, then you can definitely go for it.
Thank you. Before going to next question, I want to say everyone that as this is a Zoom meeting, so there is a 40-minute limit. So if that call disconnected, then please rejoin with same link. Okay. So I will go to Mayuk that in LinkedIn. So how networking is helpful to get any job, anything, job or PhD or anything. How networking is useful, like LinkedIn.
Yeah, it helps. It helps a lot actually. So if you have a good network, then actually it is very much beneficial if you are not getting a job in your campus placement. Then if you know a good many people, then they can actually help you in referring to their own companies and all. It's actually helpful when you are switching jobs. That time, if you know a lot of people, then actually they can refer you to various companies as well. So that is important. But one more point is that in India actually, so it's better to build a good network in Naukri. So that has a better success rate than LinkedIn, at least in India. But yeah, you should have a LinkedIn profile, build a good network that will help you.
Any addition from Sunil?
Yeah. So honestly, when I was in university, I remember my friends used to have a huge networking in LinkedIn. I was actually bored of it, so I did not take a lot of part in it. But yes, I have seen a lot of people get a lot of help. So since I did not do it, I was not successful at it. Doesn't mean that somebody else would not. Like you might be just good at networking, you might get stuck. I knew a senior of mine. She had cleared a very good. She had got a very good job from campusing, but she got even a better job from LinkedIn. So this happens. It's not that it's impossible. It happens. But again, networking does help. Even if you're not on LinkedIn, but you cannot be ignorant about things around you. Like if your classmates are doing something, you must know of that. You must not fall from the sky when you listen that okay, this guy got that job, this guy that. So many people have got a job, and not from placement, but outside, and you do not get one. It means they were working hard for a long time. So you should be aware of it. You should be try to be a part of it. And that's very important. And that's essentially, that is networking, being a part of a big group, talking to people, knowing about new things, opportunities. It doesn't have to be always LinkedIn. You might have a good relation with your seniors in college or universities who might help you as well.
Right.
But yes, LinkedIn does in terms that you get to know, you have a wider horizon. But sometimes LinkedIn can be frustrating for you as well, especially in cases, suppose when you did not get a successful placement. So LinkedIn can get frustrating because you might see all your friends getting jobs, and that can hamper your mental health. So be careful about that as well. You have to be focused and kind of smart enough to understand that, see, a person might just get a job, the person might not be happy, right? So everyone's happiness is defined by very different parameters. So make sure that don't lose your own mental health. You have to be very comfortable about the fact, yes, I did not land a good placement job. Let me look for something else. Be confident about yourself. Take help from seniors, take help from professors, take help from people you might know from placements. They might just guide you, right? So yeah, I would say LinkedIn networking is important, but it might not be important as well. It goes both ways depending on what kind of person you are.
Right. And one thing I want to add, not only LinkedIn networking, like suppose I want to be in financial sector, then I have to create some connection with seniors who are in financial sector to get some information about that thing. So that is also help us to improve something.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So LinkedIn is good. It's social. It's kind of social networking. It's good, but again, keeping in touch with real people you know personally, that's more helpful. That's more beneficial,
Yes.
right? So it might happen you're sending out your CVs to a lot of unknown people, and they think about it. Why would they sometimes just out of nowhere refer you? They don't know you. You might be a bad candidate for them. They might think that you might be a bad candidate, so they won't refer you. But somebody who knows you would be way more helpful. So do keep in good touch. Like whenever in masters, whenever university, keep in touch with your seniors from the university or from your college as well, because they would be really helpful in your career.
Right.
Not for the initial job, but for later jobs as well, if you wish to change.
Right. Right. So one more thing I want to ask, like I want to go to Sunit, that in placement, like when should I start for placement? Like the whole process, starting preparation for placement, and who is the placement coordinator? I have to connect with HR, and how to connect with different HR, how to create a lot more HR connection, how to do that thing, how to bring more and more companies.
So you're saying that you're asking this in, like, if you are a placement coordinator, then how should you approach?
Right. Right.
Right. So yeah. So first of all, I'm sure that if you're a placement coordinator of a university, you already have an address book where you have, like contacts of previous HRs of companies who have come before. The next point would be that's the best, like the next biggest bet you have are your CVs, your pass outs. They are like, if I am from a university where I know that a particular candidate or a particular student of my university last 3 years back is now at a big company, but that company has never come to our department. It would be beneficial to approach them directly rather than the HR, because the HR might not respond to you. You definitely would send like a default mail to the HR, but they might not reply. But if you go through the proper channel where you ask the senior and they would refer your university to their seniors, and then it goes to the HR, then definitely a call will come back. So that is the best approach you should take. So the alumni is your biggest strength if you're a placement coordinator. Your address book is always there. The point is, if you start trying to connect with HRs from different companies, it's like hitting the bullseye. You might not. There's a 50-50 chance. But if you're doing it via somebody who is there right now, the alumni might be of 5 years, 10 years back. But and that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get that. So yeah. So or even if your college administration group might also be able to help you with that. So that's very important that you connect to the right channel, and then definitely the HR call comes back, because that is passing through the right channel.
Any addition from Sagnigdha?
No. Absolutely correct point made by Shunit. So proper networking, proper channeling is important. So if you send the default mail to HR, maybe that email for that email you will not get a reply from HR. But if you approach the alumni, or if you know the seniors in the so from other universities or whosoever, like someone who are at who are in some of the good companies, so approach them, try to reach them. I think they will help you out. So yes, again, alumni is the best strength for getting a job here.
So how to prepare? I am going to Sagnigdha, that how to prepare for a placement. Suppose I have to prepare something, interview questions, some basic chapters. I have to, like for particular industry, they need regression analysis, they need time series analysis. to how to prepare for placement. So,
So honestly, like there are not any check boxes that you do like tick 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 these things and you are done for like you are ready for getting a job. So there are not check boxes, but yeah. So it for me actually it actually developed like by like sitting lot of companies. Like it may happen that in the first interview you got rejected, but you learned something from there. But don't think that you got rejected, but always try to think that you learned something from there. And that is the ultimate learning, I believe. So once you will be having like 3-4 interviews, and then you will see like yes, you are in the better state than the first one. So I believe at the very freshers level, the thing important is the like you have to be smart enough to like, and you like if you even if you don't know some of the question asked by the interviewer, don't say it like don't say that how can I say, like don't you reply anything, but you can approach something like this, like I don't know the answer, but if you help me out, I can approach to the problem that you have asked for. So my suggestion is like whenever you are going for a interview, try to be a bit smart. And I think the interviewer will try to find out the qualities that he is looking in the candidate, that and you try to be smart enough to be there and to be part of that organization. So that's my belief. But yeah, so overall, like regression and all those things, statistics, so everybody knows like more or less. So I don't want to make any point there, but to me actually, to be smart in that situation, it's a game of 30 minutes. Try to be smart enough and give your best. That's my suggestion.
Right. And one more thing that I experienced, like when in that interview session, in that placement session, like I am giving that interview, like with me, many other friends also giving that interview. So ask from them and learn from their mistake also. Like for the next interview, how to prepare for the thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So I will go to Moyuk. That as Sunit mentioned previously, that in MSc there is 2-year course, and in that 2 year we have to syllabus, lot of syllabus, and our time is very less. So in this system, in this 2 year of thing, and we have to keep a balance between our marks and our placement. Like for placement, we have to learn some technical skill, and there is a little different study for placement thing for job. So how to balance this thing, and how marks is also important?
Look, marks is always important. Like at least some basic level of marks you need to secure, like 60%, 65%. Like because there will be various companies, they will have different cutoffs. Like they will say if you can sit in the placement only if you have 65% marks. So make sure that you have the basic criteria, like basic threshold of marks you are having. Then like for preparation for your placement, it actually depends, like what Shamil and Sumit both had said, like it depends on your smartness, actually how you are tackling the interviewer. That becomes very much important. And it also depends on the day also. Like there are various companies, actually different companies are looking for different aspects. Maybe some companies will ask you 4 questions from statistics. So that case, you should know the basics. At least you should know the basics. There could be other companies who will ask you about, maybe they will give you a problem and they will see what is your approach. Depending on your approach, they will select you. So it depends actually, but yeah, you should know the basic of statistics. That is very much important. And one more addition is that while preparing your first CV, don't write anything that you don't know. If you know very little things, write only those parts. Suppose you don't know regression at all and you are writing regression in your CV, don't do that. So it's better that you say approach like that, I don't know this, but yeah, with your proper guidance and your mentorship, I can learn that. Approach like that, but don't write something that you don't know.
Yeah, right. That is a very important one. Yeah, right. Sunit, anything from you?
Yeah, I think Sagnigda and Moyuk has actually covered most of the points during the interview. I just wanted to add an important part. So in a lot of these interviews, a lot of the companies, they have different rounds, right? They have they have a test round where they take an aptitude test. Next round counts as a group discussion. A lot of them have, a lot of them don't. Right? A lot of them just first, cut a lot of students out by their marks. Some of them take a look at all the CVs and then shortlist and then directly go to interviews. Different companies have different rules, but a lot of big companies have, and this is from my experience, I'm telling you. So they have an aptitude test and a GD. So you might be a very good person in statistics, very good student in statistics, but you might just not be very good at aptitude test. So do practice that. Something just a month before placement. See, if you're good in maths and good in statistics, definitely you will be good in aptitude as well. But just as you have to practice a bit, because aptitude is not about answering questions. It's about answering the maximum number of questions within the least amount of time. So that is something you have to make sure that you're not bad at it. Like you are a good student, you are good in maybe R, or you're very good in statistics. You might be the topper in your batch, but you're not clearing any aptitude tests. This is a very common problem I have seen from a lot of good students, especially why I'm mentioning good students, because sometimes they they did not think about that. So maybe they were too busy in their study and they did not think about that, but this do happen, right? And aptitude test is something, it depends on your day. It's like a KBC quiz. If you get the questions, if you know the easy formula out, then you can solve it, else you cannot, right? And English as well, in aptitude, a lot of students, they clear most of the questions in maths and there are a lot of data problems, but in English they fail. So do practice aptitude exams, a few of them. You don't have to spend your entire month doing that. Sometimes just spend 1 or 2 hours solving few questions, check the answers and try to review. Then you'll have a fair share of idea of what type of questions comes. And about GD, try to and this entire period I'm talking just a month before the placements happen. And I'm not talking that you spend your entire semester doing this. But during GD, sometimes happen that if you're an introvert, suppose you're an introvert, it's very hard for you to express. Then even if you know a lot of things, it's totally possible that you just cannot speak out or you cannot barge in a discussion. Very common problem for a lot of people. So try to express yourself more within your family, within your friends, within your classmates. And for people who are not very aware of the general news and everything and topics, try to read a bit more, right? So there are two kinds of problems. Either you know a lot but you cannot speak out, or you can speak out and you don't know anything. So there are two kind of problems you generally have in a GD. So, and definitely in a GD, you will see a lot of people who shout a lot, who scream on the top of their voices just to prove their point, but they're actually speaking gibberish. So this happens. Don't feel intimidated by them. Even I'm talking especially for introverts. Don't feel intimidated by them. Just make your point and remember the interviewer sitting there in the GD room. They are capable of judging a person correctly. They might miss out on a good few students. That happens. Even the HR knows that they might, but they are an expert at. They have studied HR. They have done MBAs in HR, so they know who is a correct person and who is not. So have trust in them, but do speak out. Because if you shy away, then they would feel that this person won't even talk. I know that the HR might feel that okay, he or she knows a lot of things, but she never speaks out. So I don't know if she would be a good fit for a company. But if you speak out and if you make your correct point, then they will definitely take notice of you. So GD is an important part. A lot of good students get, they are not shortlisted after a GD or after aptitude. So make sure you spend a month at least practicing that. Read some news, read current topics, read about financial topics. And see, they won't give you topics like, let's discuss about the finance future of India. Yeah, finance future of India, such a big umbrella topic they will give you, but not something very point to point. They might just ask you, let's discuss about GST. They might just ask you, let's talk about an Apple. It might happen as well, but yeah, make sure that you are comfortable talking about random things, but don't speak just the gibberish, like anything, and start shout on the top of your voice. This part, and obviously during GD, the one thing HRs look. I have a very good HR friend, so she has told me that this happens, that they look out for people who listen. So listening is a very key important part in GDs. It's not only about speaking, you have to listen as well. So yeah, make sure you kind of try and look in. I'm sure there are a lot of YouTube videos which will train you how to be good in a group discussion. So group discussions and aptitude are always there. try to be moderately good in that. You don't have to be the best, moderately good in that. And then your final interview will speak for all. That's the main. The technical interview is the main key. But these are the, like the beginning steps, and you should not fall in that.
Right, right. Very good point. I have one question to three of you. Like in current days, we are listening that data science is a hot cake like in the current days. So what is the difference between data science and statistics? Like data science, MSc in data science and MSc in statistics. What is the difference between them? So I would start from Sagnik Da, and I will go to both of you.
So if you ask me, the data science and statistics, so actually this is a naming convention, just like you are calling salt as NaCl or something like that. So if you don't know statistics and you landed up in data science, you are a big zero. So basically learning the statistics and applying it, not only the learning and applying it wherever it is required. Suppose there is something required related to data engineering and you have done a ML technique and all those things, and you are just describing all those things. So that is not a data science and all just related things. And so if you remember, this data science term was like we called it as analyst, data analyst, something like that, like 5 to 10 years back. But they are now calling it data scientist. I don't know, like in next 5 to 10 years what we'll call them, but that's a just nomenclature, I believe. So don't think like, so if you know statistics, if you know the techniques, if you know all those things, if you know the languages, I don't think there is a difference between data analysis, data science, data, all the other things that we have.
Mayuk.
Yeah, same thing. It's all about the names only. It doesn't matter. So like previously during 2010 or 2011, they were calling it as analyst. Now they are calling it data science. So yeah, so it doesn't matter whether you are from a statistical background or data science background. You just to be from a quantitative background. That's what matters. Because whenever you are going to an industry, you will see that there are various problems that you don't even know. You only know things when you are working on a live project. Believe me. So whatever you have learned throughout these 5 years, sometimes you will feel that you have learned nothing, because there will be so many things, so many new things that you will be tackling. Like you could be, maybe you are tackling a data size so huge that it doesn't fit on your software. Then how to tackle that? So these are like very common problems that you will face. Don't expect that you will know everything. You will learn every day. You will know how to tackle those things. So it actually doesn't matter whether you are learning statistics or data science. These are more or less same. You will know something, and based on that, you will develop. So that is the main thing.
Sunil.
I actually agree very much with both Sagnik and Moyuk. Like what Sagnik mentioned, it's just a different name. You can call a human being a human, a person, a Homo sapiens. You can call a lot of things. Now, again, it depends on the job you're doing. You might be a data scientist and you're just creating reports every day on Excel. That might happen. And you might be just a statistical programmer, but you are creating proper models. So look for the job role, not the naming convention. You might be called an analyst at an institution, and a person who is a CA doing auditing is also called an analyst. So that's very common among big four companies, right? But it doesn't matter. You both of you are doing the same job, right? You are doing in a entirely different field. Remember that the job you do is more important, not what you're called there. So as I said, like an analyst might be a statistical programmer might be building a model, whereas a data scientist might just create Excel reports, using macros in Excel. So, yep, it does not matter. And by the way, if you specifically ask about courses, whether to take data science or statistics, it's actually a choice. Like if you are absolutely sure that you don't want to learn a lot of theoretical statistics, you just want to learn most of the practical statistics, practical mathematics, right, and computing as well, then yes, data science is a good course. But if you are not ready to take that risk, you still want to learn a lot of statistics, theoretical side, and you might just want to have an option of getting a career in academic career in theoretical statistics, then maybe MSc statistics is a better option than MSc data science. So as I said, like it depends on choice, but the tag of a data scientist Like if you do MSc in data science, doesn't mean that you will get the role of a data scientist. And you might be called an analyst and you're still actually a data scientist in terms of the job you do. So don't go for the terms. Just again, as we said, all of us actually mentioned a lot of times that go for the role that you want to do and look at the syllabus what they have. That's more important.
Right. One final question I will ask to Sunit, that the question from the students, that I have completed MSc in 2021. I have applied job in biostatistics, data analyst, statistical programmer, etc. at Citel, Genpact, HSBC, Eli Lilly, but my CV rejected everywhere. Now, what can I do?
This is actually a very tough case. Like, see, like getting a job without campus help as a fresher is actually quite hard, and you have to be resilient and patient, right? Don't lose your hope, first of all. Next part, I would say, it actually, I need to know the background of the student. Otherwise, it's actually hard to comment, right? So I cannot comment. You said that you have applied, but did you apply through the right channel? That's important here. Then if you said that you applied as a bio, like what course did you actually do? Like, did you do a master's in statistics or maybe master's in OR? That's also important. What kind of roles are you applying for? Like, it also depends on that. Like, you might not be a good fit for a particular role at a company, but you're an extremely good fit at for a different company where you haven't applied yet. And try to get in touch with your seniors who might be the most helpful here. And in case there are some cases where you might not just get a job, you have tried for 6-7 months and you still did not get a job. In that case, I would suggest don't lose hope. There are so many options, even if you do not get like a corporate job. Like you can study for government jobs. Like there are good government jobs as well. You can study for the RBI exam. You can study for SSB exam where they have statistics as a different field as well. IS is a long shot, right? I know it's an IS, not IS. Sorry, IS is the long shot. It's hard to crack that, but you can look at other government jobs as well. Try to study hard more. Maybe clear the net and get a JRF. Go for a PhD at any university in India. That's another option. Right. And other than that, I would say do a diploma course. If you do not have the financial backing, then try to go for government institutes. If you have the financial backing, then you can do it privately, definitely. But again, remember, make a good choice while you decide on what course to take. Because for a year or 6 months or 9 months, make a good choice there as well. Like don't just look at the name and go. Try to learn. Try to see how many actual students are there and whether they have accomplished something post that course. So go for that. Main thing is don't lose hope. See, there are a lot of opportunities. Remember, you have studied in a quantitative field, and in a country like India where there are so many multinational companies right now. You will realize right now you might not get a job, but later on you will realize there are jobs. You just have to wait. It's just not the right time for you yet. Your luck is not working yet, but I'm sure that you will crack something. It won't happen that you have done a master's in statistics and you won't get a job. So don't ever lose hope in that. But as I said, remember there are more options. Always look for other options. Do not stick one, like do not be hell bent on one thing. I need to get a corporate job. Government jobs are also an option. Study for 6 months. Go get a crack at go for it. You might get to know a lot of things. Look for small time internships. Right. There are a lot of small companies, startups who offer internships. Go there, try it. You might get a PPO offer after that as well. It might be not a very good offer. They might offer you very less amount of money. But if the role is good, again, as I said, if the work is good, they might ask you to build models and they're paying you 25,000 a month. Still, I would say go for it. Because if you learn a lot of things, the next time you switch a company, you will get a lot of higher hike. But it's important that you learn the things. The industry experience is important. Just don't cancel any small time option just because the money is small. Look at the job role they're giving. All of us know so many people who are not happy at their jobs, although they pay a lot because the job role is not good. So yep, look for multiple options. Don't only go for like top companies. Like don't be hell-bent on top companies. Explore everything. Any small time startups. See, one thing I know this from my experience and from a lot of other people, that startups is where you learn the most. It's not big companies. It's not big four. It's not banks. It's a startup where you will learn the most things, most new things. So yep, try for that and don't lose hope. So definitely see, you have done a master's. Don't worry, you won't be jobless. So you will get something definitely. Just make correct choices at every step. Consult with seniors. That
right,
consulting with seniors is very important. Yeah.
right. And many of my friends who started job like 3 lakh a year, but right now they are with switching job and getting experience within 2-3 years. They from 3 lakh to they switch to 10 lakh. So that is the point. You have to learn a lot of things and you have to start. Okay. Before very good session. Thank you to all of you. And before closing this session, I want to listen from every one of you that last point. What is your final point? I will start from Sagnik. Then, what is your final point? What is your final suggestion?
So my final suggestion would be, first of all the best to each and everyone who are going to get a job or going to get a good academic career. Yeah, and then like next suggestion would be like all the things we have discussed here. Try to keep all those in mind, and uh, whatever you want to do, just go for it. Don't try to
Right.
think like, if I do it, what will happen, and then what will happen, then lot of things will come. So if you are uh, willing to do something, just go for it.
Mayuk?
Yeah, same thing. Like, first of all, best of luck to all of you, and just be yourself, whatever you are doing. If you are going for a job or you are going for a PhD, just be yourself, and you will definitely get a job or a PhD. If you are doing that. So yeah, just be yourself. That's all.
Right. Sunit?
Yeah. Be confident. Don't lose hope at any stage, and make good choices. That's very important. And do keep in touch with people. These are very troubled times. It's hard. You don't see people around you. It's hard, but try to make friends with your classmates, with your like seniors, and that sometimes really helps. Like, I can understand that who have started university in the last 2 years are in a very difficult position. They have not made their classmates yet ever, and keeping a good relation becomes very hard. And it might happen like in your batch there are 20 students, suppose, in case, and 15 of them know each other, and you from a very different university altogether, from a different state, and you might feel left alone. You don't have friends. Try to break your mental barrier and try to make friends with somebody. That's very helpful. You will get a lot of ideas, new ideas, and how they are studying right now. And yeah, best of luck. And I'm sure that all of you will do something really good and be successful in your life.
Right. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And that's the point. Like now we have to stay updated, stay what industry needs. We have to stay always updated, and we have to hungry about that success that we have to get a job and all these things. Thank you. Thanks a lot to you guys for your time. Thank you. It's a good session.
Thank you, Shubhajit, and thanks to you for arranging such session. These are
Thank
very
you.
useful session for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. It is like this really good session. I hope actually all the the participants here, it was really helpful for them. If any one of you have any questions, I think you can ask.
Hello, are
Yes.
you audible?
Hi.
Yes.
If I can get a chance, if I cannot get a chance, DUCU or HCU or any other good university, is it good to join 2-year data science course for MSc if I interested in corporate job?
Yeah. Yes. I think yes. It's helpful. Yeah. Just don't sit idle. That's more important. Like idle brain can be very harmful. Don't sit idle. Yeah, definitely join a data science university. It might be private, it might be government. Depending on your financial backing, you might choose one. But yeah, don't sit idle. That's very important. Don't think that, and especially in these times, if you sit idle, depression might just creep in. So don't do that. Don't make that mistake where you decide that, okay, I'll just sit back. Right. See, if you're confident enough about yourself that you can, like, if you have another chance, you can crack. You can wait for 6 months and crack and have a good chance at any IIT, ISI, or any top universities. Then do that. I won't say don't do that. because I don't know, like I'm not a person who might just take a chance of dropping, but a lot of people have been successful at that. So that's your choice. But yeah, but if you're not that confident, then don't take a risk like that. Don't sit idle. No, idle time can be very dangerous actually.
On this point, Mayuk, anything from your side?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, same point. Like do something, at least involving to something. That's the most important part. Don't sit idle if you are getting chance in some university who are offering courses on data science. Just go for it.
Right. Right. Anyone else? Anything to ask? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.